Amit and Shubham, can you hear me?
Yes,
Please
yes.
acknowledge me if yes. Yeah, perfect. So, uh, I think if I'm not wrong, in our last session we covered DOM manipulation, right?
Yes.
Please say yes if it is correct. Okay, and in the last session I shared you two or three assignments to complete, like to-do list, calculator, and all. Is that completed? Please acknowledge me if yes. Else tell me that it is not completed.
Not,
Shubham, Amit, let me know. Tell me.
not completed.
Reason behind that, you were having a whole week. Still, you were not able to complete that. Is there any specific reason behind that? Please tell me. These are just 2 or 3 hours assignment which you will not be able to complete over a week. How this will be helpful for you? Okay, I don't have an issue. If you don't want to complete it, it's up to you. You won't be able to understand a little bit about development if you don't want to learn. That's fine. Let me continue. Okay, so in your JavaScript stack, just two things are left. One is async API call. Second thing is what is an API. Third thing is error handling. Two or three things are left. So let me share my screen. I hope my screen is visible. Is it
Yes.
visible, guys? Perfect. So, okay, we need to create a new folder. Where's Jewelry? That's not here. Okay, I need to create a new folder then. New folder, Jewelry. This is 6th October 2024. Perfect. So index.html styles.css script.js html. Okay. First, let me tell you what are the topics left in this series, in this JavaScript series. Topics related to front JavaScript. One is API, which is also called application programming interface. Second is error handling. Next is async async programming, or you can say it uh, async await. Okay, what are those things in JavaScript? What are APIs? What are error handlings? What is async programming? So we'll be covering those things in this session, and from the next session we'll start React. Okay. So let me introduce first with API, which is called Application Programming Interface. Suppose, guys, you are going to create an application or you are creating anything. As we know that most of the data is not stored over the client side. This is my client side, which is also called front end. We know that our data is not stored over the front end. Suppose you have created an application Instagram, and if you are storing your database over the front end, that you won't be able to access those data over the another machine. And if you are trying to do so, suppose if you are storing the data still over front end and you are accessing the data, so this application will become too larger because as like Instagram or Facebook consists trillions of GB database over their server. But if we migrate that code base or their database over the front end, so the front end machine will always crash because we don't have any powerful machine who can handle this data over the front end part. We have some database layer which is called backend or can say server database, where we are storing data related to a particular application, and we are only retrieving the required data. Suppose if Instagram is logged in via uh, suppose Stu Valley. We have an Stu Valley account. If Instagram is logged in through Stu Valley account, so only the front end will be able to see the data of Stu Valley, not the whole Instagram. So that is the catch, because whenever we are storing the data over database, we just want the data which is required over the front end part. If Stu Valley is getting logged in the front end, so only Stu Valley can see the data which is created by Stu Valley or the data related to Stu Valley. Okay, so that thing is called database. Now, if we are storing the database over backend or server, then how we will be able to take data from that layer to front end? That's the catch. Basically, the data is not over our side, data is stored over the backend side. So, how we can fetch that data? How can we update that data? How can we post that data? How can we delete some data? Those things are called, uh, those things can be done with the help of API, which we told you about. API is an application programming interface, and with the help of API, we can apply multiple CRUD operations. CRUD operations basically we can retrieve the data, retrieve the data from back end to front end. Basically, we are getting the data in this thing, which is called get request. Get request. If you are getting the data from back end to front end, that thing is called get request. Although let's just over this. This is called back get request. If you are adding, suppose you are at particular website, suppose Stu Valley Technology, and you are going here, and let me go here, and I'm to going here and applying for contact us. So if I'm entering my name, email address, how can we help you? So what are we doing here? We are adding our entry to the database. So this thing is called post request. If you are adding a entry in database, so that thing is called post request. That thing is called post request. Third thing is called, if we have already an entry, suppose you are going over here, not here, suppose you are going over your Instagram account and you are updating your name over there, you are updating your details over there. So those things are called update request. Update request is basically what is used to update the entry present in database. And last thing is called delete. Delete request is used to delete a particular or whole collection of entries in database. Basically, we have four types of requests: get, put, get, post, update, and delete, which are called CRUD operations. And if we follow the structure, suppose if we are getting the data and we are applying get request for that, so that thing is called REST API, RESTful API. Now, what is RESTful APIs? Basically, it will be the pattern of writing the APIs and the operation and the method of that. So those we have some allocated methods like if we are using any verification APIs, we will use auth. If we are using an API which is used to post the data, so that will be containing the method post. So those things are called RESTful APIs. If you want to learn little bit about that, you just need to read the docs. You can read the docs to about more learn more about RESTful APIs. RESTful APIs. Okay, so now what where there will be a basic example. What is the need of API? Suppose we are going to create an application which needs to show the temperature of your city. If you are going to do that, so you know that you can get the data, but you don't know what is the temperature of your city. So what you can do, you can integrate a third party API which is available over the internet, where we have a basic example of that, which is Rapid API. You can find any API over Rapid API as per your requirement. It is a kind of platform. It is a kind of platform from where you can buy your API directly. Okay. So we in this session, what are we going to do? We'll be creating an weather application, using that weather application, we'll be clearing those three topics automatically. Yeah, I hope API is already clear. Now I need to explain what is error handling, what is async programming. Those things will be more clear once we are writing the code. So let's create a UI for that. So first of all, link the CSS. Style CSS. Perfect. And in CSS, we set the padding margin. Padding should be 0. Margin should be 0. Box sizing should be border box. Okay. So let's create a div dot screen wrapper. This div will be taking the whole width of a screen. Div dot screen wrapper border 2 pixel solid red. Okay. And let me make it go live to create a better UI. Perfect. Let me give an height of 100 VH. Perfect. Background color should be hash F2, F2, F2. That's perfect. So let me remove the border. Okay, let me give inside a container. Div dot container, and container should be width of 40% and height of 50%, and give it an background color which should be uh, perfect. Let me make it center. Display flex, justify content center, align item center. Perfect. Let me give it an border radius. Let's say 4 pixel. Okay. This should be here actually. Yep. Border radius is applied over there. So now I want an input tab over there where we'll enter our city's name. Input type is equals to text. Placeholder should be enter the name of your city, and this should be like this. Yep. Okay. So inside container display flex, justify content center, Align item center. Input of input inside it should be background color. Again F2, F2, F2. Border should be none. Border should be none. Padding should be 10 pixels. Even it should be 10 by 20 pixels actually. 10 by 20 pixels. Let's say 30 pixels. Perfect. Not 30 pixels, actually 20 pixels. And width should be 50%. Exactly. And border radius should be 6 pixels. Not 6 pixels, what we gave out 4 pixels. So it should be also 4 pixels. Perfect. Yep, it's properly working. So let me remove the outline. None. Perfect. Now suppose if I'm going to give an city, so it should be like this. Now we just want one more button over here, and that button should be the name of. Okay, that button should be. Let me wrap it inside a div dot uh, class name should be input wrapper. Perfect. So input wrapper, and there should be a button which we'll use to fetch the data. Button uh, type submit, and this button should be get temperature, get or fetch, just fetch. Perfect. Let me give a border to it. Input container, input wrapper, border, 2 pixels solid red. Width should be 100%. Display should be flex. Justify content center. Align item center. Perfect. And the input bit should it be like this. Perfect. Now button. Let's apply some CSS to button and also give it a gap of 10 pixels at least. Okay, button again padding 10 pixels or 20 pixels over here. Yeah, looks good. Background color should be hash F2, F2, F2. Border should not be there. Be none. Outline should be none. Perfect. Border radius should be 4 pixel. Perfect, perfect. Let me remove this border now. So, although we want one thing over here, cursor should be pointer, and when button hover, background color should be little bit changed with F2, F2, F2. That should be Alice blue, let's say. Yeah, looks good. So this will be our temperature fetching application. Now we just want to implement a function over there. With the help of that function, we'll be able to cater the response of this. Okay. So let me add something over here other than input driver H3. The current temperature is, let's say, 0 degree. 0 degree. Okay. Perfect. Need to add a change in CSS, which is flex direction should be column. Perfect. Gap should be 20 pixels between them. Let's say 40 pixels. Perfect. Now we just want to make a change over here. Whenever someone clicks over here, add some name of city and fetch, so the temperature should be changed. Okay, so now how can we implement those things? So first of all, let me fix the CSS of this thing actually. So the H3 of it should be font weight 500, font family should be Poppins, and uh, yep, that's look good. This I need to fix current. The current temperature is 0 degree. Now what we want the functionality over here. Let me first add it over git head dot git commit. Okay, git in it. Git add dot git commit uh structure initialized with HTML CSS. Okay, so this is how it looks. Now we need to add the functionality. So for functionality, first connect JavaScript over here is script.js. Okay. And once you are connecting your JavaScript, print at least something so that you are getting clear that it is connected or not. So JS connected. Save. If you go here inside the console, yeah, JS connected. So the file is connected. Now we want to add the functionality when someone clicks over it and add the name of the city and clicks over the fetch button. So it should reflect with the response. So let me get the button first, which is fetch button, const button, document dot get element by ID. So fetch button, let's say when you click over it, give an ID to this uh, fetch button. Okay, and try to print the print it works or not. So let's say console.log button. Yeah, button is over there. Now we need to implement a event listener over it. So we want button dot add event listener. Event listener should be click, and there should be a callback function. So when someone's click, let's say console.log button is clicked. Perfect. Let me do it. Yep, it's working properly. Now we what do we want at this point of time when someone clicks over it? Let's say take let city is equals to document dot get element by ID, and ID should be input city dot value, because whenever we write something over it, that thing is called value. So ID should be input city, and go here again input city dot value. This will be giving you the value of present inside city, and print the console.log city. Let me print over it. It's blank. Let's say, let me write it temper something and click over press button. Yeah, it is coming over here. So this thing we know that how we can take then input ID from it. Let's go back to here. Now what do we want? We should have a function which will be getting the temperature of that particular city. And once that temperature is, once you are clear with that temperature, you have to clear it. Document dot get element by ID input city dot value should be equals to this. Because whenever you press over this button, this should be clear. Let's say, let me write current. Okay, and I'm clicking over it. It is clear, and this should be here. Okay. So now we have to create a function. We need to create a function which will take the which will take the data from backend and will print that over screen. We need to implement this functionality actually at this point of time. So let's create a function. First of all, we need to search Rapid API. This is in Rapid API where you'll be getting the APIs for your temperature, whatever the temperature at your place. Okay. So weather API, you can search it over weather. So we have an API which is let's take it weatherapi.com and try to little bit read about it. So in weather API, we'll be using JavaScript, not shell. Select your language, JavaScript. As we can see, and we will use fetch instead of Axios. We have four patterns: jQuery, Axios, XML, HTTP request, and fetch. Yeah, in current situation, we are using only Axios and fetch, and currently we'll be using just Axios. So in options, you can say method get header this. So first you need to log in over this. This will be giving you an API key for it here and API host over here. So first of all, I want to suggest you to please log in it. So I'm going to log in it. I'm closing my screen till I'm getting login. Hopefully my screen is not shared now. So sign in, let's say. I'm using someone else's account to getting logged in it. Yeah. With the Yep. I'm again sharing my screen. Please acknowledge me if it is shared. Guys, is it shared?
Yeah.
Perfect. So as we can see now that we are getting an API key, we are getting an API host, and now this will be working. If we click over test endpoint, we'll be getting 200 OK, which means that our API is working. This is in status code. If it is 200, then it means our API is properly working. Now we need to look into it that how we'll be sending the name of our city, and this will be taking that. This will be automatically hitting that API. So we need to check params, query param based on with latitude. Okay, it is working over latitude and longitude, but we want to work it over the name of the city. So we will not be able to use this API. So we'll need to search again whether, let's say Metostat. Okay. So if I want to check it, the API key, example response. Let's say, okay, we need to subscribe it first. So it will again work over this latitude, longitude. We can also access latitude, longitude, but we'll not be doing at this point of time. Weather API using city name. Let's say something. Okay, this will work. Weather details. So how it will work? Let me test trend point 404 client arrow. Params, we have to give zip code. Let's say 202001. Test zip code. Okay, 404. Maybe this API is not working at this point of time because of some internal issues. So let me find some another API. Weather by city name. So let me use this weather API. Okay, it will be asking for subscribing. So if you want to hit 1,000 requests per hour, so it will be free. After than that, it will be taking this amount of plans. So I think it will be asking for money. If it isn't, yep, it's working. Okay, so what we need to go here, we are getting something city name is equals to Fergana. We are getting this in URL. So let me do something. Let me try to edit it inside params. Let me place it Delhi. And let's say test API. Where's that test? Thing is? Okay, inside app, inside headers, authorization, authorization required. How can I? Yeah, here it is. Delhi. So if we are checking the temperature of Delhi, we'll be getting the temperature 306.2, which is, I guess, it's in Kelvin. We need to convert it into Fahrenheit. Uh, yeah, it's working properly. That country is India, and all the things are working properly. So I'm not going to convert it. I'll be just showing it just like it is, because our primary task to show that display data over the screen, not to not to convert it over there. So you have to go here, copy this code snippet, and create a function. Create a function. Let's say const fetch data from server, and we will be having and will be having in parameter which is city. We'll be using the city over it, and of course we need to format it first. Format document, and this should be an async function. I will tell you later that what is an async function. Don't worry about that. Format document. Perfect. Change this thing with backtick because we'll be needing to change that Delhi. This should not be Delhi in each case. This should be different value. Instead of Delhi, this should be city. Okay. And if we'll be getting the data, we'll be printing it over console and we'll be changing it over accordingly. So what are we going to do? We'll be making here fetch data from server city, and this should be an async. Sorry, await, and this should be an async function. Perfect. Format document. Now what we'll be going to do, we'll be checking our front end over here. Let me write here. Let's say unite, not unite. Let's say Jaipur and fetch. So let's wait for the response. We are getting this response over screen, and only the input is only clear once we are getting the response. So we want to display coordinate dot weather dot no, not weather. It's main. This array will be closing over here. This main dot temp. So let's say result dot main Jaipur fetch. It's undefined. Okay. Response dot text. Instead of text, convert it into JSON. Response dot JSON. Again undefined. Okay. Uh, now search Jaipur again. Fetch. You'll be getting this JSON. So inside this, you have to go inside main dot main. Okay. So result dot main, and let's again type Jaipur. Fetch. You are getting this main dot temp. You want the temp dot temp. Okay. Now we want to make a change over here. We'll be showing this thing over the screen. So we are adding an ID for result output. So this should be result. Whenever this comes over here, so let me ask it. Let me edit document dot get element by ID, which should be result dot output. Perfect. Dot inner HTML. should be equals to parenthesis. So let me copy this thing and paste it over here. And this should be changed with result dot main dot temp. Okay, so if we are going back to here, let's say Jaipur fetch. So it's now 305.77. Let's say Delhi. So it's now 306.22. Okay, so now what are we going to explain over this? That this we are using an API behind that, which is taking data from weather API and presenting over your screen. But we have to handle the error cases as well. Suppose in some case I enter over here that instead of Jaipur, it's J4 where I is missing. Now, if you fetch the data, this will giving you an error that you can see that it is giving you error cannot read properties of undefined map. So for this thing, suppose we are creating a production level application and your application will be visible to your user. So you cannot show it like that nothing is displaying over there. Just a remember. You cannot show that user that nothing is displaying over here. You have two cases over here, try and catch. Now, what is try? Try will be this thing. If you will contain any kind of runtime error inside try block, it will automatically shift it to the catch block. So you can directly display this over here error in getting your temperature. So basically, what are we trying to show? That if you are making any error over the screen or maybe any malfunction due to which API is not working, or maybe internet issues, or maybe something which can be an issue. So in that case, you'll be making it inside the catch block that your API is not working, or you can say that error in getting your temperature. Suppose now if I press it, like if I press fetch button without writing anything inside it, so this will be a blank city name, and we'll click over here, error in getting your temperature. And if we write anything correct here, let's say Delhi, so it will be automatically displaying your the current temperature is 306.2. And if you again click over the fetch button, so it will be giving you an error, that error in getting your temperature. Although we need to stop the function, suppose if value is already blank, which is value dot trim, if it is already blank, so you should not make an API call. This will be saving your API call. Okay, so now your API will be only running once user entering some data over the entering over the input block. For an example, if you go inside network tab, if you're clicking over the fetch button, it is not hitting your API call. As you can see, API calls are blank. But if you enter something over, let's say Delhi, and we'll click over the fetch button, so it will hit your API call accordingly. I did something wrong over there, maybe. Value dot trim does not equals to blank. That should be perfect. Not equals to. Okay. This should be city actually, not value. City. Now, if I'm again hitting the fetch button without entering anything over there, it is not hitting anything. But if you press Delhi over it, let's say Delhi, and fetch, it is hitting an API call, which you can see here that this is your response and this is your requested parameter that you want this thing. Okay. So this is called an API call. Now the last thing left over here. I hope error handling is clear. The last thing which is left, that is what is this async and what is this await. Okay. What is an async and await? Async and await are the functions which we use to run your process parallelly. As we know, guys, that hitting an API call will be not working over on your machine. It will be the getting data from another machine as well parallelly. So this will be a time-taking process. This will not be like this should not be a synchronous process. This should be an asynchronous process that while you are fetching the data from server, it should not pause your further execution of the program. it should continue the further execution of the program parallelly and hitting the API parallelly as well. So this will be helping you to build a scalable application. So what are we doing here? While that we have written an async function and we have passed away to it as well, that till you are getting the data from that fetch API, we are continuing the function processing over here. And once you are returning with the promise that you got the data, your program will be back to here and will start executing this thing again. So this thing is called async APIs, async functions. We'll also be explaining this thing once again after this lecture. And also, the last thing is left over here, which is fetch API. Now, what is this fetch? Fetch is a kind of method, or you can say function, or you can say package, which you can use to hit the API calls. Also, other than fetch, we have an alternative, which is an XML HTTP request. We also have an alternative, which is called Axios, which we use a lot in market. Other than fetch, when you will be starting working over the Java React, you'll be using Axios over it. So those are some things which is relevant to you. In fetch, we are passing that this kind of request is get request. These are the headers which are confidential. You cannot copy this because I'll disable it after the session. You have to take it your own, and this will be the method to create an weather application. If it is clear, please acknowledge me. Please acknowledge me, everybody.
Yes, please.
People who have any doubt, please ask your queries.
सर जैसे हम अभी ये
Uh,
एपीआई यूज कर रहे हैं तो
yeah, please one by one. Yeah, sure.
अगर हमें इसमें डेटा और भी चाहिए हो जैसे हम बाकी वो उसका यूज करते हैं
Mm-hmm.
तो वो
Like,
कैसे होगा। जैसे अभी हमने तो एक वैल्यू उसकी फेच की है।
mm-hmm.
अगर हमें और भी बहुत सारा डेटा ही पूरा पूरा डेटा एपीआई से उठाना हो तब।
We can store it inside a variable. हम एक वेरिएबल बना सकते हैं, हम डेटा स्टोर कर सकते हैं. Then we can use the relevant data. Whatever will be required. Suppose हमने यहाँ पे सिर्फ एक पर्टिकुलर वेरिएबल में से डेटा उठाया, विच इज रिजल्ट मेन डॉट टेम्प. आप पूरा रिजल्ट एक ग्लोबल वेरिएबल बना के यहाँ पे उसमें स्टोर कर सकते हो. सपोज एक लेट कर लो ग्लोबल वेरिएबल, लेट फाइनलाइज फाइनलाइज्ड फाइनल रिजल्ट लेट्स से, और आप इसमें स्टोर कर लो ये ब्लैंक, इट शुड बी फाइनल रिजल्ट. और यहाँ पे जैसी रेस्पॉन्स आपके पास आ रहा है, आप इसको फाइनल रिजल्ट इज इक्वल टू रिजल्ट कर लो. ये आपका स्टोर हो गया. नाउ यू वट एवर यू वांट टू यूज, आप कहीं भी उसको यूज कर सकते हो. गॉट इट?
मतलब इसको एक वेरिएबल में डाल देंगे फिर डॉट करके पूरा।
और क्या, वट एवर यू वांट टू यूज यू कैन. नेक्स्ट आउट.
try and catch.
ट्राई एंड कैच मैंने अभी बताया था आपको कि व्हाट इज ट्राई एंड कैच. ट्राई एंड कैच वी यूज फॉर एरर हैंडलिंग. सपोज आप एक एपीआई हिट करने जा रहे हो, ठीक है, दैट कंटेन्स लॉट्स ऑफ एस्पेक्ट्स. आपका डेटा हो सकता है एपीआई में, नेटवर्क ब्रेक हो सकता है, आपका डेटा हो सकता है सर्वर पे हो ही ना, या आपने गलत नाम एंटर कर दिया. और सपोज जयपुर स्टैंड्स फॉर JAIPUR एंड आपने स्टोर किया उसमें जे JAPUR, तो वो तो स्पेलिंग मिस्टेक है, तो दैट विल बी गिविंग एन एरर. अगर आप ऐसा कुछ करोगे तो आप ऑटोमेटिकली कैश ब्लॉक में आ जाओगे और आपका प्रोग्राम रुकेगा नहीं. अगर आप ट्राई कैश ब्लॉक के बिना करते इसको, तो आपका प्रोग्राम रुक जाता. सपोज लेट मी पॉज इट let me pause it this as well and comment this as well, and hopefully all is blank. So let's say Jaipur. ठीक है, Jaipur fetch. Jaipur is here. Let's say instead of Jaipur I write JPUR. I is missing and you click over fetch. So now this function is not working. is not displaying anything. And if console, you get that typo error that you are not able to find temp. So this is giving an error, but it is not displaying it over the screen. अगर आपकी स्पेलिंग गलत है तो आपको पता होना चाहिए that you did something wrong जिसकी वजह से error आ रहा है. ठीक है. सो दिस विल यूज टू कि अगर ट्राई ब्लॉक में आपने जो कोड एग्जीक्यूट किया उसमें कुछ भी एरर आता है, इफ देयर इज एनी काइंड ऑफ एरर ओवर हियर इनसाइड ट्राई ब्लॉक, it will automatically go inside the catch block. That thing is called error handler. Is that clear? Is that clear?
Yes,
Amit, you
sir.
are not audible. If you perfect. So another doubt. Uh, Another Amit, do you have any doubt? Both of you.
So, previous class recording are uploaded or not?
Sorry.
The previous class means Saturday class recording are uploaded or not?
Okay, if I'm
नहीं
not getting you wrong, you are saying that previous classes are not stored over internet
Yeah,
or not.
yeah, yeah.
I don't have any idea about it. You can ask with your host.
I can provide you after the class, okay?
Yes.
Perfect, perfect. So, yep, if all the doubts are clear, so you can copy the code, guys, and see if there's an issue. I'll just show you JavaScript code because another than that is not required at this point of time. So, yeah, please go ahead. Is that done, guys?
yes
Please
sir.
say yes or no. Yeah. Although I want to suggest you before the next session, at least try to integrate 4 or 5 applications which contains lots of APIs. Because while you are running React, you will not be able to understand those things again. So it's totally up to you. If you want to learn, then you have to. Because in our previous sessions, I was not able to find just one assignment as completed. You have not completed just one assignment. So if you don't want to learn, that's totally up to you. I just want to suggest you if you want to learn it completely, you have to complete your assignments as well.
Yes, sir, next में doubt पूछ लेंगे
Sorry.
सर नेक्स्ट सेशन में सर डाउट पूछ लेंगे सर पहले
Sure,
असाइनमेंट
sure,
कर
sure. Okay, then. Thank you, everyone. You can leave.